And I'm delighted that you could join me this afternoon as we continue to explore what we can do to create a great customer experience. If we look at the modern customer, the modern consumer today, we know that their needs have evolved and they are no longer willing or happy to receive a generic experience. Their expectations are increasing at an ever rapid rate, and as a result of this, they're becoming a lot more demanding on their brand interactions. As a result, we see that last year's best customer experience strategies have become today's customer experience benchmarks at a minimum. I'm sure you've heard of these sayings, put yourself in the customer's shoes, or you may have used this one, treat customers the way that you would like to be treated. Well, statements like this will no longer cut it in today's challenging and competitive environment. Whilst these statements may be empathetically correct, what they imply is that the customer experience or the service that the customer receives is going to be standard in nature and not tailored to them as an individual. And that's what customers are looking for today when it comes to dealing with brands. They're looking for an experience that is tailored, individual, and unique to them. So, as consumer brand expectations evolved, coupled with the challenges that we are faced with COVID-19, many organizations are forced to rethink their customer experience strategy. As companies prepare for the long haul, or what we call the next normal, the path forward is anything but clear. However, the way that organizations deal with their customers, their employees, and the broader community in a time of crisis, they are likely to leave a lasting impression in their customers' minds. So those companies that adopt a customer-back approach driven by the customer's wants are more likely to become the customer experience leaders of the future. In this and future empowered sessions, we are going to explore and define what your organization can do to achieve customer experience excellence and ultimately commercial success. What I'd like to do is just share some statistics with you, customer experience statistics that have been sourced from a company called Salesforce.com. The reason why I think it's important I share these statistics is to gain an awareness and an understanding of the gap that exists between the perception that organizations have on their ability to meet customers' expectations in relation to a personalized experience versus the reality of those experiences that customers have had during their brand engagement with those companies. So the first statistic I'd like to share with you refers to a retail environment, and we can see there that the survey indicates that there's a lack of customer satisfaction with regards to the experiences that they receive. Only 10% of the respondents said that the company or the organizations they were engaged with met their expectations, and in doing so were able to provide them with a great or a good experience. I guess the question is, what about the other 90%? The harsh reality is that 90% of our customers are walking away feeling dissatisfied with the experience that they have received from our brand. Let's have a look now at an online experience. Okay, and we can see here that just over half of the respondents, so 51% of the respondents, felt that when they were engaged with a company online, the company failed to meet their expectations, and as a result, the online experience was diluted. Interestingly, when companies were surveyed, a large number or the large majority of companies believed that they were meeting or exceeding customer expectations in relation to customer experience. We can see that the gap between what customers want and expect versus what companies think they are providing is very large indeed. And this gap appears to be widening, and that customers' expectations and standards are evolving with a focus on personalization. And 67% of respondents said that their standards for good experiences are higher than ever. In an age of rapid technological evolution, in which the focus is on efficiency, cost reduction, standardization, the challenge for companies is that customers resent being treated like a number. and are increasingly demanding personalized attention. And I think this is very true. 80% of customers say that they want to be treated like a person, not like a number. And this is critical to you winning their business. We need to treat them like individuals. Interestingly, whilst companies focus on cost reduction, many are in fact missing revenue opportunities by not capitalizing on the fact that many customers, 67% of customers, are willing to pay for personalized service. 76% of customers say it's easier than ever to take their business elsewhere. And I'm sure we can all relate to that. We have so much choice today. If we're unhappy with the service receiving from one organization, there's another company that's very willing to receive us with open arms. So it's really important that we personalize that experience for our customer to gain their loyalty as well as brand advocacy. So from those statistics, we can see that there's a wide gap between what customers are looking for from an experience perspective and that those organizations are currently delivering on. We know that customers' expectations are increasing. Their standards are getting higher, they're demanding more from their brand interactions, and they're looking for a more engaged, personalized experience. Yet we continue to see organizations focusing on cost-cutting and efficiency. They're investing heavily in technology and in automation, and as a result, it's having an adverse effect on their ability to meet those customer experience expectations. One example I'd like to share with you is hopefully one that we can all relate to, and that is airline travel. In recent years, we've seen a number of airlines impose cost-cutting measures that have had an adverse effect on the customer experience. We've seen an unprecedented number of unhappy airline passengers, and the number of complaints that have been lodged with private and government entities has gone up tenfold. Yet, airlines continue to focus on cost efficiencies. We see a reduction of in-flight services, for example. In some cases, customers are having to pay for their baggage, which previously they wouldn't have had to do. And a lot of airlines are cramming in more passengers per air mile than ever before. Yet there are a number of airlines out there that continue to win awards for great customer experience, namely Singapore Airlines and Emirates. So what are Singapore Airlines and Emirates doing to ensure that they meet their customer experience expectations? Well, really it goes back to their customer experience strategy, that they do everything they can to personalize that experience for each passenger. And if we go back to that previous statistic that said that 67% of customers are prepared to pay more for a great experience, that is where they're focused on. So, how do we go about reducing this gap? Are these two trends mutually exclusive, or is there a way that we can bridge the gap that meets and exceeds customers' expectations? I recently came across a customer experience excellence model that has been developed by KPMG, and I'd like to share that with you. So this model, as I mentioned, was developed by KPMG, and there are 6 components to this model. So what I'd like to do is just take you through each component very briefly, starting off with personalization. And with personalization, we are using individualized attention to drive emotional connection. The next component is time and effort. And this is where we minimize the customer effort. We make it easy for the customer, and we create a frictionless process. Following that is expectations. And this is where we get to really understand what are the customer's expectations, and we manage those expectations efficiently. And in doing so, we meet and exceed those customer expectations. We all know that things go wrong, so resolution is very important. And this is really about how we turn a poor experience into a great one. Key to any relationship that we have with our customers is integrity. And being trustworthy and stimulating trust is absolutely critical to ensure that we build a good relationship with our customer. And finally, the last component there is empathy. And this is where we achieve an understanding of customer circumstances to drive deep rapport between ourselves and the customers. So very quickly, that was a brief introduction to the KPMG 6-pillar model of customer experience excellence. Using this model as a foundation, in the following empowered sessions, I'd like to talk about these pillars in more detail and examine how we can help you achieve success for you and your customers through customer experience excellence. So please join me next time as we look at the elements of the 6-pillar model and what could mean for you and how we can deliver a truly memorable customer experience. Until then, thank you for taking the time to be with me today. Take care. Goodbye.